Good morning, everyone. It is, it's probably about noon by now on the 21st of April, 2024. Today, my goal is to remove the steering gear because it is defective. I've ordered a replacement. Should be here in less than a week, so I'll be prepared once it's arrived. I would like to take it out from the top by removing the brake master cylinder and the booster, because I think that'll be easier than trying to do it from underneath the car, especially without a lift and having to lay on my back and all that. Plus all the things you got to get out of the way underneath, like the exhaust pipe, the brake cable, and probably the linkage. That's a lot of work. So it's also a lot of work taking out the booster and the master cylinder, but I think that'll be easier. So that's how I'm going to proceed. I also have received my heater core from Mark II Enterprises. Oh, before I do that, though, let me show you this little tool I bought at Napa a couple days ago. This is the Pitman arm removal tool. Just bought one. It was less than $10, so I figured I might as well keep one in handy, so I don't have to worry about renting a tool or whatever. But I wanted to show you this gorgeous heater core. It's beautiful. Brand new, not re-cord or anything like that. So proper fit for my 67 Lincoln. So at some point, once I've got the steering gear out, I will work on installing this. Kind of wish I'd had it this morning, because I used this car this morning to take my chemicals to the landfill. It's the annual hazardous waste disposal day. So I used my car here for that trip. But it was kind of cold. It was 40 degrees this morning. But I survived. But once I get that in, I'll have a working heater. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So we'll see how this goes. I should be able to get the steering gear out today without too much difficulty. I've certainly got some recent experience with it. So I'm looking forward to getting my replacement so I can finally drive this car like I'd like to drive it without worrying about it. All right, it's about an hour after I've started, roughly. Things are moving along very quickly. You can see the master cylinder and the brake booster have been removed. Removed the bolt there that hooks the rag joint to the steering column. Decided it would be easier, since I have all this room, to disconnect and reconnect there rather than at the spline end, although I have to take the rag joint off anyway, put it on the other steering gear when I get it. So I've just got these things sitting in the trunk. Of course, it's a lot easier after you've had recent experience doing this work. Nothing's corroded or rusted into place. Didn't have any trouble disconnecting the brake lines. And I just noticed both of my caps, I had both ends covered with plastic caps. They're gone. Must have fallen off when I pulled the booster out. I'll have to find that. But anyway, so my next step is just to remove the front wheel so I can disconnect the Pitman arm from the steering gear. And after that, all that's left is disconnecting the 3 mounting bolts that hold it to the frame. And then I can work it loose from there and lift it up out of there. So moving right along. All right, there she is. My steering gear. The one that I resealed, but it's going to be replaced anyway. So now I just need to drain it as best I can, get the transmission fluid out of it. So it's ready to ship. And of course, I'm going to get the rag joint off of there too. I think it took about 2 to 2.5 hours to get it out, taking it out from the top. I ended up having to disconnect some linkage anyway, and the exhaust pipe I had to disconnect because it was in the way of the puller to get the Pitman arm off. So a little bit more than I was hoping to do, but still, it wasn't bad. And I guess I must have never cleaned that shelf off the last time I had the gear off, because it looks pretty grimy. So I'm going to take a scraper and clean that up while I got this off. Cover these brake lines back up again with my plastic covers. And keep on going. So far, so good. All right, I've cleaned off that shelf a bit. Nothing fancy, just scraped it and wiped it down. More than I did the last time I had the steering gear out. So now I'm still feeling energetic. I'm going to go ahead and at least remove the old heater core right there under that cover. So I just got to get some hoses out of the way, remove this blend valve here, and it should come right out. So we'll see how we do with that. All right, so I finally got this cover off. That took some doing. That gasket, I believe, is in my, I hope it is anyway, is in my kit that came from Mark II Enterprises. I think it is in there. Just looking at the discoloration I see there's definitely some kind of coolant leak going on here. Could have just been where the hose connections are, but I feel good about replacing this thing anyway. So now it's a matter of attempting to pull it straight out. I'd forgotten there's a spacer in there too, which kind of locks it in place. So pretty cool. And I'm vacuuming as I go along here, trying not to introduce too much dirt inside there. All right, here is the heater core, the old one, and it was definitely leaking. So I feel good now about having gotten a replacement for it. It only made sense since I had a new radiator. So now we can see inside here. Pretty dirty, pretty nasty in there. So I'm just going to do my best to vacuum out in there, clean it up as best I can, and then work on installing the new heater core and see what I have in terms of gaskets and whatnot. I hope I have everything I need. I should. So on the little door right here, it's pretty rusty and dirty in there. The door, I think, once had this stuff here on it as kind of a seal, insulator, whatever, but that's all dried up, so I just vacuumed it out. Not too worried about that. It's not going to form a perfect seal, obviously, but that's okay. It'll do for now. I don't know that I'll ever, really mess with trying to restore that part of this car properly or not, but the main thing is just to get it cleaned up so I can get the new heater core in there. All right, so I opened up my package from Mark II Enterprises. The gaskets they included go on the end here and on the bottom. There is no included gasket that goes on the top here. So what I'm going to do is just put a thick bead of silicone around the edge, just kind of seal it up. I don't have a way of really sealing the top part here, though. There was some material there at one time, so I may have to, I don't know. I'll figure something out to kind of cover that up with a little bit. So, but anyway, almost ready to install it. The original design, however, this was all one piece. This bottom part was not separate like it is here. So what I'm going to have to do is, I guess I'll just use some silicone sealant or something and just kind of attach it to the bottom of it. Let it dry before I actually install it in the car. All right, you can see the new heater core is now in its place where it belongs. The hardest part was getting this rod back down there, this spacer back down in the groove where it belongs to lock this tight against the body of the car. The other challenge I had was right here, trying to clear this. At one point, I thought I was going to have to disconnect this, which I didn't want to do because there's still a charge in the system. So I ended up bending it a little bit. Copper pipes are pretty flexible, so I'm hoping I didn't do any damage. I didn't hear anything leaking, so I think I'm okay. So, but before I can put this cover back on, I have to come up with some method of getting some kind of padding to put on here and glue it on there, and also that will have the ability to kind of provide a seal right here. So I'll have to use my imagination on that. May have to go to a fabric store or hobby store or something to get something that will work with that. So I'm going to wrap things up for the day because it's getting late. Did quite a bit. Just getting that steering gear out was a major accomplishment, so I'm satisfied. Got the old heater core out. The new one is in place. So I'll just wrap it up for today. And next time I have a chance, I'll continue on with the heater core.